So, I want to share with you this really powerful exercise that I do with my clients, which I hope represents and can symbolize the importance of inviting parts of ourselves that we don't like. So often our suffering is related to this idea of let forget like things happening right to us, right? Which a lot of times my clients who have had things happen in childhood, or just these like, events, death, loss, whatever, that these things have happened and they just want to forget about it. They just want to forget about it. They want to suppress it. It feels icky. There's shame around it. There's guilt around it. And they just like, no, thank you. I want no part of it. No part of it. And when I often say to people, you have to invite that in, they're like, no effing way, man. No way, Eddie. I'm not like, I want no part of this like terrible behavior that I did, or this thing that happened, this experience, or whatever the case is. And the more you try to fight it, the more it just creates more suffering, because it requires a lot of bandwidth, a lot of energy to suppress this thing that you like don't like. But the more you invite it in, the easier it becomes to like deal with it and then to like move on. So this activity that I often have people do is to imagine, and this is really powerful for moms especially. I want you to imagine that like your 5-year old, 2-year old, 3-year old, but if you don't have children, imagine if you have a picture of yourself when you were like 3 or 5, and imagine that that little child is knocking on the door, and that child is just like dirty and disheveled, and she's, but she's shame and she's guilt and she's this awful thing that happened to her, and she's cowering in the corner, and and she's just like, this awful thing has happened, or she did this awful thing, and she's feeling guilty and she's just feeling scared, and she's knocking on the door for connection and for like, please help me, please help me, please like love me. And what do you do as the adult? You slam the door in her face and you're like, no, thank you. Imagine, right? Now, if you have children, it's so much more powerful when you imagine looking at your 3-year old, if you have, or remembered, or you go back to yourself and see a picture of yourself and imagine that you slam the door in that kid's face. Or you give it a drink and you're like, go away. Can you go to sleep? Can you be done here? Can you just stop? What do you think that that is doing for that child, that inner child? You have to open the door, hold it, nurture it. There, you're safe now. You are okay. It's not your fault. The minute you can begin to do those things is the minute you will start healing. So I invite you to do that with a therapist and let me know how it works.